my channel. My name is Linda. I have some fun crafts for you today. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on some rustic, should I say it, Ralph Lauren country cozy Christmas DIY. So let's get started with project number 1. I couldn't help it. Everything's Ralph Lauren. I'm saying this is part of it. So we're going to get started with this container. It actually had a tree in it, and I took the tree out, and it had a bunch of this little like popcorn texture on the front. So I sanded it off, and I'm going to use this Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Ecru. I like it. It's kind of like the one I always use, drop cloth, just a little bit more of a taupey shade to it. It's very pretty. I'm going to do a couple of coats on this, and you can see from my sanding, it's not great sanding. It's not real smooth. I didn't intend it to be that way because I wanted it to kind of sort of look like old crockery when I was done. And I will have a link down below to my blog for today's printables and patterns. And this one, I give you a couple of titles for you. This one says Snow Ridge Tree Farms, and then I created another one that says Chestnut Ridge Tree Farms. You can kind of pick from a couple different sizes. There'll be PDF and PNG versions for you. I have cut mine out in vinyl, of course. Nice, quick, and easy project. I know I've showed some of these before, but I'm always trying to think of different projects we can do with all these bottle brush trees we keep accumulating. So I added 3 different styles in here. All came from Dollar Tree, the large one by itself. The 2 smaller ones, it's 2 different styles that come in a 3-pack for like when you make your little Christmas village. I buy those a lot because you get, 3 trees for 1. And now I'm adding in some Excelsior. I get this at Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to add it in all around to give a little bit more of a rustic look. Here comes the Ralph Lauren with a bow. I took a strip of fabric that I ripped, tied into a bow, because Ralph Lauren's all about the plaids, the dark greens, which comes in the trees. I glued that on. Now I'm wrinkling and crinkling the bow down and around so that it doesn't interfere with our cute little vinyl title on the front. And these are some metal rusty snowflakes you can get at a Hobby Lobby, and I'm just gluing 3 together so they're thicker, and then I will glue that into the jar here, and then 2 on this side gluing together, and gonna kind of glue it down around on the side here, down a little bit lower, just to kind of carry the theme a little bit. And then these are some wooden numbers I cut with my wood laser machine, a 2 and a 5. We all know what that stands for. I'm going to kind of glue them together a little bit and then glue them to the center of our cute fabric bow. And then lastly, but not least, I'm bringing out the glitter shimmer dust. I'll have a link in my description box to the Etsy store I get it from. I'm going to shimmer that on, and that makes this Ralph Lauren project complete. We'll take a look at the results at the end of the video. I'm laughing at all this Ralph Lauren stuff. I'm sorry. I have to go a little bit with my Ralph Lauren speech. There's nothing wrong with it because you all know my DIYs. They're rustic, they're country, they're cozy, they're plaid. They are Ralph Lauren. But there's been such an explosion. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I love it. I love the style. It's me. But that's why I'm kind of giggling at it because it's just like everywhere. Anyway, let's move on into project number 2. So please accept my apologies if I've offended anybody. Then I laugh because I'm like, well, everybody else is doing it, so I'm going to do it. So here we go with project number 2. I do have a free pattern for you. It's just this one pattern. It's a funny little shaped boot, but you're going to cut 2 out of whatever fabric you want to use. Now, this is Home Décor fabric I picked up at Hobby Lobby, and a couple of sticks I picked out in my backyard. So nice freebie. You could use dowels if you want, whatever you want for that. Cut 2 out of each one. We're going to turn it so it's pretty sides together for each shoe. All right, pretty sides together on this one. Nice and easy. If you're a gluer, hot glue, or fabric glue, just come right between the 2 fabrics around the edge, a little bit at the top, but leave kind of the center of the top open so that we can stuff these. And if you're a sewer, you're going to do kind of the same thing, leaving a little, 3 inches at the top for stuffing. Before I start my sewing, I also want to make a little fabric tag, as I like to do around the holidays. So I've got 2 pieces of muslin here, a piece of batting, my VersaFine ink, Michael's clickable stamps. I'll just stamp the word believe. I'll have the stamps and the ink in my description box for you. And if you're a gluer, you know, you can glue your piece of batting in between the 2 pieces of fabric. If you don't want, and if you're a sewer, you can sew around all of that to put it all together. If you don't want any batting, you just want a single piece of fabric, you can do that too. You can stamp it on paper and have a cute little paper tag, however you want it. All right, this is just inspiration for you. So of course, here I am, I'm just sewing around one boot, but of course I'll sew the other off camera. And now I'm sewing around my tag. I like to go twice around my tags just to give it a little whimsy. I intentionally sew crooked and everything just to give it some fun. All right? But you do you. I said it. So this is a tag. I cut it out of a sweater I had just put on like the day before, and it must have fallen on the floor when I threw it to the trash can. And I thought, how cute. I'm going to like sew that tag inside of the side of the boot. But if you didn't have that and you wanted to do a tag kind of idea, a piece of muslin folded in half, you can take the clickable stamps like I did Joy here just for example, and then what you'll do is glue or sew it in, and just make sure the unfolded edge is up against the raw edge of the boot fabric, right? The folded edge is toward the inside because you're gluing or sewing that together, and then when you flip it, it's right side out. The tag's right side out. Is that understandable? And now what I've got is a couple of ripped strips of fabric and a piece of batting, and the fabric's probably ripped about 1.5 inches wide, 40 inches long, and I'm going to sandwich that batting in between my 2 pieces of fabric, and you can either glue all that together or sew around the perimeter, and kind of gives you a country looking, you know, piece of fabric. And we will tie it, this is what it looks like, into a bow. We'll do that in a little bit. Here's my little believe tag, and I've turned my boots right side out. I apologize, I swore I was filming that, but apparently I didn't, or somehow lost the footage. I don't know, maybe I didn't push the button correctly. But once you sew or glue your boots together, turn them right side out and then stuff them as tight as you want. And now I've got some large diameter twine here, long as pieces I want. I'm just going to tie a little knot in each end here, and we're going to glue that knot into the opening of each of our boot at the top, kind of down into that stuffing. Like that. I made like a little hole with my finger and glued it and, you know, stuffed that rope in there, that knot. And now I'm just making sure my fabric is folded downward toward the stuffing, and then I'm gluing it together. And these are just some little sewing clips. I'm clipping it together so it the fabric will sit there and hold while I'm gluing the other one. Okay, so add a little glue. It's folded inward, add a little glue, and then clipping it together. That way I don't have to sit and hold it, and I can be working on this other boot at the top. Right? Just make it look all nice. Glue it all together. We'll let that sit for just a bit. All right, and now what I'm doing is I am making a knot at the top of that twine so these can hang. And I've got one boot kind of sitting up above the other boot, so, you know, they hang right. Do you know what I'm saying? And now what I want to do is take Distress Oxide ink and Vintage Photo, and this is a little makeup brush. You can find these at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to use this brush to put the ink onto the boot. And basically with this kind of makeup brush, it kind of just softens the inking a little bit. Okay, and so it's nice. I can kind of put it all over. It'll soften it. It won't be so harsh as if I use like a foam pad or the ink pad itself. This just, you know, like when you're doing makeup and you're blending it. It just kind of blends it better onto the fabric, gives it a softer look. Once that's done, I've got some rusty bells here, some rusty safety pins, and I'm going to put the bottom bell in first. And I'm using a big upholstery needle to pre-make the holes on the fabric, because if you try to push a rusty safety pin through that fabric, it's going to be really hard to get it through that fabric. The rust kind of gets in the way. So I kind of pre-make the holes with a large size diameter kind of upholstery needle or a doll needle. And then it's way easier to put the safety pin through. So just a little tip for you. So that's what it's going to look like on the bottom of both boots. And now the top, I want to make some wire laces. We did this before with our cute little Santa boots, remember? So I just made like 2 bunny ears, long piece of wire, however long you want it. And then once I make 2 bunny ears, I'm going to twist each one a couple times, twist, twist. And then the tails of that wire, I'm going to just wrap around the handle of a paintbrush, make some squiggles. All right. And then I've got one of the loops of our bow. I squished it together so I can feed it through the loop on the bell. And then I'll take both of those bows and twist them together. And then I'll reshape that one I squished. All right. Kind of spread everything out and adjust a little bit. This is what it looks like. And then I've got just enough room there to stick a safety pin through the back of that bell hanger, holder, whatever as well. And then I can feed that right at the top here. Gonna make my little holes first and feed that right at the top. And so we have, you know, wire laces with our cute bell all in one ensemble. If you don't like that, you can do your cute little wire bow and then you could just glue it on under the bell versus trying to, you know, feed it through the loop of the back of the bell and all that kind of stuff, if that's understandable. However you want it. You can do it one ensemble or glue things on separately. Now what we want to do is add our sticks to the bottom of our boots so we can start making our ice skates. And what I'm going to do, this is not my idea, I saw it on Pinterest, is I'm taking that large diameter twine and I glued it, of course, one end, wrapped it around, and where I come to glue it again, I'm making sure that both glue spots of each end of the twine are both the same area. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm gluing it here, gonna wrap it around 3 times, and then when I glue the other end, I want to make sure that they are level from each other, across from each other. How's that? So that you can glue that to the bottom of the boot, and then it hides where we glued the twine onto the stick. Huh? I'm in fine form of speech today, adding glue right along that seam, and then I'll just glue the stick down. And then, of course, we're going to do the same to the other ice skate. We're going to add the glue right along where you sewed or glued that fabric together, and then making sure where you glued your ends of the twine onto your stick that those are up against the seam on that ice skate. Okay, that way it hides all of that and looks really, really nice. I love how these turned out. Now what I'm going to do is that fabric I sewed together with the batting in the center, I'm going to tie it right around at the knot that we made on the twine and make that into a little bow there. So it gives us our kind of country Ralph Lauren look, huh? I got to say at least 1 or 2 more times. And then I'm gluing it onto that twine so it doesn't move. And then I'm gluing our tag on. And then I've got a little button. I'm gluing that on to kind of finish that ensemble off. And then I decided the skates needed just a little something more. So I am adding some Excelsior right at the top of the boot, right at the twine, and I'll do it on the front and the back just a little bit so it just all looks cohesive around the top of that boot. And then we're going to add a little glitter dust here, some shimmer dust. Now this is clear spray with really fine glitter in it. There are different colors. I like the silver one. Again, I'll have the link down below. And then this is just some regular white glitter. It's not iridescent, it's white, you can get from Walmart. And then I have some white glitter glass, and then I'm going to use some spray adhesive, and I'm going to just spray it in areas on my ice skates, and I'll add the glitter glass on first. You can do all just glitter if you want, but I like just the real fine, you know, look of the glitter glass. And then I will dump the regular glitter over the top just to fill all that in. I'll do a couple more spots. I'll do like I did the heel there. I've got the toe and then the top of the boot, course, and then I will turn it over and shake off the excess, and this is what that looks like. So cute. I love these. That makes this project complete. We'll take a look at the results at the end of the video. Let's move on to our last project, number 3. For this project, I've got some fabrics here I'll be using. They look so Ralph Lauren-esque, don't they? Lauren-esque, I made up that word. I've got some plaid, I've got some batting, this is some muslin material, and this is that boucle fabric. It was actually a yucky kind of not so nice looking coat I found at Goodwill. I use it to cut up as I need. I will have a free pattern for you. I'll show you the pattern a little bit later because at this time I don't quite have it drawn out. But you'll cut 2 of the hat. You'll cut 1 of the, let's call that the brim or where the fur of the hat goes, and then 2 of these little pom-pom areas. All right, so I have 2 fabrics and 2 batting cut for the main hat. You can eliminate the batting if you don't want it. I've got this fabric, 1 piece cut for around the brim of the hat. So the whatever you fun fur, whatever you want to use, and then a couple pieces here cut for the pom-pom. So if you're a gluer, if you use batting, you're going to glue the batting to each piece of your fabric. All right, first. And then you'll come between the fabric all the way around right near the edge, gluing it all together. Of course, leaving a spot open 3-4 inches right in here to stuff it. Okay? Now, if you want, you can do pretty sides together, still using the batting, and you'll do the same thing, gluing it just like we did with the ice skates, and then you leave that open to flip it right side out and stuff it. The same will go if you're a sewer. If you want to leave your seams out, sew around it, leaving stuffing, or right sides together, sew around it, flip it right side out when you're done. All right, I'm going to add the pom-poms here. I'll probably add a little stuffing in there as well, when I go to sew that on. So right now here I am. Sorry, the camera's focusing more on my hands than the fabric, so unless it's my own eyes, fabric looks a little blurry, but I'm just sewing around it, about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. If you're new to my channel, I like to use the batting when I do projects like this, because then it looks like I cut it out of a quilt. Because when you cut apart a yucky quilt, you want to salvage it. There's always the batting showing. That's why I do this, and it gives it kind of that country look. So here it is all sewn. I haven't sewed the pom-pom on yet. I did sew around the perimeter of this, furry piece, the brim or whatever. Later we're going to glue it on, but it'll look like I sewed it on because I sewed around the perimeter. So it's a facade sewing. You don't have to do it. Stuff your hat as tight as you want it. I get mine pretty tight, pretty puffy. That's the way I like it. I will leave it a little looser in the center opening here like this because I'm going to put this on a spindle. So if you put it on a spindle or a dowel or something like that, because you can fill that in later with stuffing. Now what I'm doing is just taking a little bit of stuffing for my pom-poms. I'm going to just kind of glue that onto one side. All right. Glue a little bit on the hat. So I can glue this around this, and then I'll sew around the perimeter. If you're a gluer, you're going to glue it really, really well. I just glued it a little bit to hold it in place. There it is all sewn. And then this next thing I wanted to show you, I didn't even think about showing it on camera. I just took a spindle and 2 pieces of wood here. I like to kind of stair step the wood, and I had my husband just countersink a couple of screws to put it together. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Now, before I glue this on, I wanted to show you, make sure you have enough stuffing so that your hat doesn't kind of flop forward onto whatever you're using, a spindle, a dowel, or whatever. We will add more stuffing in here so it's nice and tight around the dowel, and then we're just going to glue the fabric around that dowel. And if the glue's a little bit messy, that's okay because this fur piece is going to cover all of that up. All right, so now ample glue, whatever you're using, dowel, spindle, whatever. Mine's pretty big here, but that's okay. It still fits nice. And I'm going to shove this hat down onto that. Glue gets around that opening and all that. Doesn't matter. That's okay. Like I said, we'll cover that up. I'm adding more stuffing in here so it takes up any space that might be around that dowel so it stays nice and tight again so my hat is not floppy over my dowel. I want it to stick straight up. And then I'm going to just glue down around that dowel and glue the fabric together, and I'm going to do those little sewing clips again. You can find these at Walmart in the sewing section, and let that sit while that glue sets up. If you're using hot glue, you probably don't got to worry about it, but a liquid glue, yeah, you might want some clips. So I'm just going to pin this on. It is big. It will overlap. I did that on purpose. I just wanted everybody to have ample room and to hide anything, and plus we're going to do a little something, so we want to make sure you have enough brim there. So you could just close it up like this, but I want it to look a little fuller, like a head is inside the hat, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just stuff this like this. I'll do it better. Right now I'm just kind of showing you demo. Stuff it. See, it'll be all stuffed, and then we will cover this up in just a minute. And that's another reason why the brim is a little bit longer, in case you really want to stuff it. So you can adjust that brim. You can cut it a little shorter if you need to. I just wanted to make sure everyone had ample length. Okay, when we stuff it, we're going to need to cover that up. So I had to make an addendum to the pattern. Let me show you the pattern here, because now it's all drawn up. So you have a top and bottom to the hat. You'll cut it out, and then you'll tape it together at the dash lines to form your hat. Okay, and then of course, here's your little pom-pom area you'll cut out, which goes right here at the tip of the hat, as you well know, because we've already done that. This is your brim. This is the dash lines. Again, cut it out and tape it together at the dash line, so that'll go around the brim of the hat. Now we want to cover this. This is my addendum. So I made these things. And it's all the same piece, but I had to cut them separately or draw them separately to fit around each side of the spindle. Okay, so you'll cut both of these out, same fabric. Now this dash line area, this is the width of the spindle that I am using, which is 1 1/4 inches. Okay, so measure the width of whatever you're using. All right, and then you may need to adjust before you cut out the center. You may need to adjust if you need to cut it 1 1/4 will fit fine, or you need to cut it maybe a little bit skinnier or maybe a little bit wider, and all written down here for you. Okay, so here it is. I've done 2 pieces and I sewed around it, fake sewing, and we're going to wrap it around the pole just like this. It will overlap again. If you want to adjust that and cut that, that's fine. It will overlap, not a problem. You're not going to see it if you kind of follow the design I did. So now let's go back, let's reverse, and I'm going to glue the top of the brim onto the bottom of our hat. Now we want to really put it in permanently, because before it was just temporary. So I'm gluing all of that together, making sure I only glue at the top, and then I was gluing the excess of the brim together. And now I'm going to start stuffing it all the way around. Okay, I'll stuff the rest of it off camera. And now once I've done that, I'm laying my 2 pieces here on either side, overlapping, just like that. That doesn't look bad, right? Making sure it looks good, and now I'll start gluing it. And I'm just gluing one side to the other, and I'm just going to make sure that I add enough glue to pinch that bottom piece to the brim, so it looks like one nice piece. I'm going to make sure there's no spaces. You can't see my stuffing or anything like that, like here. Didn't quite glue good, so I'll add some more glue. And using this type of kind of fabric, or like if you use a fur, you're not going to see all that, because the fur, or this kind of, bumpy boucle fabric, it all kind of meshes together really nice, so it kind of hides our imperfections. So get that on there so it looks really nice, just like that, and covers all of that up. All right, here's what we got going on. Don't worry, you won't be able to see that when I add my little stuff to it. I think it looks nice. All right, and now here I am again. I know, don't look at the bow. I was going to do a fabric bow, but then I decided to do another wire bow, just like we did for the shoelaces on our ice skates. So 2 bunny ears, then twist a couple of times on the bunny ears. Then the tails, I'm wrapping around a paintbrush handle. This wire is probably 20 gauge wire. All right, and then once I get that, I'm going to twist these a little bit more together. Look it into a bow shape. I'm going to add some Excelsior down first, and then glue that in just like that. So everywhere where I twisted those bows in the center will all get hidden by my little tag here I had pre-made from another project. So I just stamped onto some muslin the word jingle with the Michaels clickable stamps, and I took batting in between 2 pieces of muslin, sewed it together, and then I glued a rusty bell on, and I'm going to add a little bit more Excelsior down here at the bottom. And then I'll glue the tag to the Excelsior, and I made sure the tag kind of landed right over the area, that bottom underneath the Santa hat where those 2 pieces of fabric overlap, so that you do not see it. Told you I'd hide it. Now I'm at the bottom. If you want the bottom of my base here, I'm just adding some different greenery that I've gotten at like Walmart and Hobby Lobby to give the bottom a little bit of decoration here, a little bit of a wintry look. Couple of long pine cones, a little short pine cone. And of course I'm going to add my shimmer mist. Sometimes I say shimmer mist and sometimes I say glitter dust. So I sprayed all that on. And then I'm going to end up with using some spray adhesive again, and then adding some glitter glass and some glitter onto some areas on the brim right here. And then I'll add it onto the hat as well, kind of up here at the top. But this is too white. It's too in your face with the fabric I use. So we'll tone that down a little bit. So I'll get all my glitter glass and regular glitter on here. I'll turn it over, tap it so I get the excess off. And then I'm going to bring in my Distress Oxide Vintage Photo and my little sponge. I'm going to sponge up all the fabric first, kind of give it a little bit of a grungy look. And then I'm just going to add ink right over that glitter glass. And it will that glitter glass will take on the color of that ink a little bit. So it'll kind of tone that down so it's not this bright white glitter glass and regular glitter on my hat. It just kind of blends it in, like I said, gives it that little bit of a rustic look. I love how this project came out as well. Once I do that, that makes this project complete. So I hope you enjoyed all three of these Ralph Lauren, I had to say it one more time, projects today. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know which one was your favorite. Even though I liked them all and I love the hat, I still think that the ice skates are my favorite. I don't know. There it is. That's what I'm going to tell you. Please give this video a thumbs up. Remember, link to my blog in the description box where you'll find the printables and patterns for all the projects today. If you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, you're digging what you saw, make sure before you click off, you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any more videos from me. Now, before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. When you're struggling with something impossible, you're feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, and it seems like the enemy has you blocked in on all sides, this is when it's most important time to rely on what God has for you. This is when it's time to focus on who God is and not your own expectations. Prayer during difficult times isn't seeking God for what He can do for you. It means choosing to trust that God will provide for you and guide you in whatever you are facing. It means not just seeking His power, but focusing on His presence. Yes, you pray every day, but sometimes when you're down in that deep hole, it isn't all about the what, but rather it's about the who. Your circumstance may seem daunting right now, the pit may seem deep, but the who is still good. His love is always unconditional and His grace is completely amazing. So amazing, in fact, that even if your circumstance doesn't immediately change, you'll still see the rope be long enough to drop into your lap. Why? Because His promises are always true. God promises to give you strength. In the Bible, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6, it says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or tremble in dread before them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not fail you or abandon you." God promises His peace in the book of John, chapter 14, verse 27. "Peace I leave with you. My perfect peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Do not let your heart be troubled, nor let it be afraid. Let my perfect peace calm you in every circumstance and give you courage and strength for every challenge." God promises hope in this very moment. The book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 2. "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they will not overwhelm you. When you walk through fire, you will not be scorched, nor will the flame burn you." God promises to give you comfort. Book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 4. "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." God promises to give you rest. The book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28. "Are you weary, carrying a heavy burden? Come to me, I will refresh your life, for I am your oasis." God promises also to give you the victory. in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verse 4. For the Lord your God is he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. The gist is this: you may not like what is going on right now, but you can lean on God to face today and live for tomorrow by relying on his promises and praising him for who he is, because he loves you and he will always show up for you. The evidence, the book of Psalms, chapter 28, verse 7. The Lord is my strength and my impenetrable shield. My heart trusts with unwavering confidence in him, and I am helped. Therefore, my heart greatly rejoices, and with my song I shall thank him and praise him. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.